All right. So this is my first videoed podcast. So, please excuse the technical difficulties that will very likely happen. But welcome to Hair's a Thing. I'm your host, Katie Zaharik. I am the head stylist behind the chair at Bobby Hair Studio on YouTube, and my personal Instagram for my hair is vancity.blonde. So if you guys want to subscribe on YouTube, that would be amazing. If you want to follow along on our podcast on Spotify, that would also be amazing. Because I'm going to try to do our video podcast form like this, where it's available on YouTube and on Spotify. For anybody who doesn't have Spotify, maybe Apple Music, I don't really know. But this is all kind of new to me. So either way, I hope you enjoy what you're about to hear. And today we're about to dive into 10 ways to help build your career as a new hairstylist, coming from a hairstylist. So let's start off with our 10 ways to grow your clientele as a new stylist. When I started as a stylist, I kind of noticed these 10 things, and I feel like it's a good idea to follow these if you're new to hairdressing, honestly, new to the beauty industry in general, because a lot of these have a lot of different ways that you can grow your clientele with whatever kind of beauty service you do provide. These are not the only ways, and not everybody is going to agree with all of them. Honestly, everybody's journey is different, and there's going to be some confrontational, probably like non-conventional ways to grow your clientele as a stylist. Nothing illegal, I promise. But there is probably going to be a little bit of discourse on a couple of these things. But you know what? This is just my experience. And this is also things that, as a manager and owner of a salon as well, that I look at for new stylists as well to see if they're going to succeed or grow quickly. And some of these I find are very important. Others are just like little tips. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that I can say about growing your clientele is to provide discounts when you're new. I'm going to be honest, charging your worth when you're brand new is absolute crap. I've had people who work for me who have been very, very stubborn on charging their worth and charging high prices because they feel like the work that they've put into learning the base steps of their craft is worth what the people who have been doing this for years and years and years are charging currently. And to be honest, those people don't do very well. They charge too high for what their skill set is, what their timing is, and what their experience is, and they don't have anything to back it. You can charge what you're worth when you have something to back it. But basically, when saying I'm charging what I'm worth, but you have nothing behind you, is saying you're worth nothing. And I know that that's hard to hear for a lot of people. I know a lot of people jump into this industry expecting they're going to make a ton of money from day one. You're not. Guaranteed you're not. I'm really sorry about that, but it's such an oversaturated industry, and it's a hard industry to get into, and it's a hard industry on you and your ego and like your self-worth. You're not going to be making thousands of dollars per week in your first week. It's just not the way it's going to be. Discounts will always be one of the ways that someone chooses you over a more experienced stylist. If a client is seeing you for the first time and they're not necessarily a referral or someone who knows you and wants to support you themselves, the way that you're going to stand out to them, number one, obviously your attitude. Number two, your work. Number three, the price that you did that work for. Now, if they can get the first two from someone who's more experienced for the same price, they're going to go to the more experienced person, because this is chemicals on our heads, ladies and gentlemen, and we all know that stuff can go wrong. And if something does go wrong, we want someone with experience to be able to fix that issue. So if you can get those first two things from a stylist who has more and more years under their belt than you do, then what's stopping the client from going to the girl in the next chair over rather than to you? The best way that you can do that is to offer them a free cut with their first color service. It's something that I actually did a lot of. I did that for years and years and years, is every first-time client who gets a color service would receive a cut or a trim for free if they would like it. There's obviously no pressuring behind that. There's no forced haircut happening. Obviously, I would never force anyone to get a haircut. But the ways that also helps me is that my befores and afters look 10 times better. We've all seen the befores and the afters when the hair hasn't been cut and it should have been. And it just doesn't look that good. But when you add in a little dusting or a little trim or even like a new fresh look to a client or some layers that adds to the movement of the curls that you put in, it amplifies the look so much better. So that 10-15 minutes that you would be spending trimming the hair, just give that to them for free and tell them about it. When you're giving somebody something for free or you're giving them a discount on it, you have to tell them about it. And I know it's awkward to be like, so I gave you a discount today, just so you know. Don't say it like that. My best way of telling someone have given them a discount is when we're at the checkout and they are about to pay for their service. I list off their services as like a receipt. Okay, so your highlights today were $140. Your haircut today was free because it's your first appointment with me and I wanted to thank you for choosing me as your stylist, so I gave you a free trim today. That's another thing that you can do. And honestly, if you also can like manage to add in the worth of said haircut that you gave them for free, they're also like preloaded with the information of, in the future, if they want such a good haircut like this again, this is what they'll be paying for it in the future. So your $40 haircut today, I just comped for you because you're a first time guest. And I wanted to thank you for choosing me as your new hairstylist for your color work. And yeah, thank you so much, Kathy. Something like that. And that's a really good way to, at the moment, kind of give them a happy little surprise, because nobody likes a bad surprise at the register when you haven't gone over your quote and you know what they expected was going to be a $200 service ended up being a $500 service. Nobody likes that. So what they do like is when they think it's going to be a $200 service and really it's only $160. Typically, not every single time, you're going to be getting that back in the tip, because a lot of people will be so happy that you even gave them a free service, which they don't get with many other stylists at all, is that they're going to like bump you a little extra. And also, if you're a client and a stylist does this for you, if you give them an extra $5 or $10 on their tip that you normally would have, that's going to stay in the stylist's mind as, this is a priority client. This is a client who appreciates me the same way I appreciate her, and she is going to get my first come, first serve appointments over new clients or over clients who don't treat me super well. So keep that in mind. It's a two-way street. Another thing to keep in mind about your discounts is don't always give them out. You should have a set reason. Like I said, for that first appointment being a complimentary cut, or if you pre-book your next color appointment, you save 10%. I've been doing that for years. I still do that with my clientele. My clients that I've been seeing since my days at Chatters, like 8.5 years ago, I tell them, yep, if you pre-book your next appointment, I'll give you 10% off the color work. That doesn't come off of like, you know, their K18 treatment or their cut, but it does save on their color work. And over the 10 appointments they come in for the next year, especially if they're root touch-ups, that's the cost of an entire appointment that they've gotten for free over the year. So it does build up, and it's really, really great for a lot of clients who are a little bit more on a budget. And it does increase like that loyalty factor that clients will give you if they pre-book their appointment with you and you give them a discount because they've done that. Then for them, that's another reason to come visit you over somebody else, and they'll make you a priority when they're scheduling their life. So doing discounts via first appointment having a complimentary cut, they pre-book their next appointment, so they save a certain percentage on their appointment, and if they send referrals or do shout-outs for you on Instagram. Those are 3 really good ways for clients to save money, as well as for you to make sure that your clients are returning to you and spreading the word about you. Because if they tell all their friends and family about this new stylist that they went to and she's awesome, and they come to you, then that's so many people that you have the potential to gain as more long-term clients than you do if you just, you know, charge them full price and just say, okay, I'm like every other hairdresser, goodbye, have a nice day. You're giving them a reason to want to go out and tell everybody, hey, no, go see this new hairstylist. And what I did for my clients is, for every client that they referred to me, I added $10 onto their account. So one girl even brought me so many clients that she got a free balayage. She brought me 16 clients, and those 16 clients all paid me a minimum of $200 each. So yeah, her $160 service was free, but she brought me 16 times 3. $3,200 if we're doing the math right, I'm pretty sure. Also, if a client brings you a coffee, give them $10 off and tell them that at the register. Thank you so much for the coffee. I really appreciate you making that stop while you grabbed yours, you grabbing me, you know. a venti ice mocha. It's fabulous. Thank you. Here's $10 off for your appointment today. Likely they're going to bring you another one again next time, because even though that coffee was like $6 or $7, they saved $10 on their appointment. They were grabbing one for themselves anyways. They're building a bond. It's such a great thing to have those clients that bring you a Starbucks. Hint, hint for my clients. Anyways, if they bring you a coffee, give them some money off, because they didn't have to. And coffee is stupid expensive these days. Number 2, have an IG account exclusively for hair. Hybrid accounts are not it. Your client wants to see what you do in the chair, and they only want to see hair-related things. They do not want to see your boudoir photo shoot. They do not want to see your MLM scheme, and they don't want to see your attempts at being Instagram famous. It's not the vibe. It's really awkward to blend in your own like Instagram persona with hair. Just have hair. I see this all over the place now, and it's the weirdest thing, because clients aren't there to go through your Instagram page and be like, oh, I wonder what kind of like nutrition she's keeping up with, or I wonder what like her outfit of the day is, or, you know, this paid advertisement that she's doing. If you want to be Instagram famous, just have a page for that. Have your own separate page. Have your hair as your page. It's way, way, way more professional. It just seems so awkward and uncomfortable to go to someone's Instagram page that you want to go see for your hair and see titties out. Like, it's so weird. I'm sorry. If you're a hairdresser, be a hairdresser on your hairdresser page. Instagram is great for building a portfolio and messaging clients. That's what I use it for. I use TikTok for entertainment, which I don't really use anymore because TikTok is absolute trash. And YouTube is for education. So I have all 3 right now as kind of like, you know, one of them's a hobby, one of them's my job, and one is a special interest, all to do with hair. But when you're thinking about having a social media form for your business, have an Instagram. That is your number one important one to have. YouTube doesn't matter as much. TikTok is an absolute waste of time, and it's for entertainment, and it's really, really harsh. Instagram is where you're going to get actual clientele that are going to message you on your DMs and try to actually book in with you. That's what it's seen as these days. It's a portfolio for small businesses. TikTok is not great for building your business because it's built for entertainment, and it's extremely harsh. It's not helpful in clientele building for the masses, only the very, very few, and it's extremely discouraging. Another thing you can do on your Instagram account to help build it and to, you know, build your clientele or whatever is to follow your clients back. They want to support you, you want to support them, and keeping up with their social media helps to, you know, aid in conversation tips and tools. Oh, I see you went to Bali recently. How was that? Tell me about that. You know, how's John doing? Is his treatment going okay? All of these little things help to create a better bond with your client. And it does make your client feel a lot more special if you've been keeping up with their Instagram, because that's where they put their lives. And something you can also do too is when you follow your clients, you can also go like look through their photos, write a couple little comments, you know, send them a little bit of support and some love. And also ask your clients if it's okay from time to time if you repost a cute selfie of theirs after you've done their hair. Because a lot of girls with, you know, public profiles at least don't mind having their photo being shared onto your story if they've taken a super cute selfie. A lot of them really like it, but always ask, always ask. Another thing that you can do to build your clientele, number 3, post your availability on Instagram stories. So clients who have not pre-booked need little reminders, let's be honest. They often don't realize when the busy seasons are for hairstylists and tend to book spontaneously. Usually like a long time after they needed to have booked in is usually when they actually remember and say, hey, do you have anything for this week? Oh, 6 weeks. Okay. If they're giving you that call asking for an appointment within a week and you give them 6 weeks of availability and you're like, oh yeah, I'm available in 2 months, the likelihood that that client is going to leave you because they need their hair done right now, because you didn't bother to post any of your availability for the last few weeks on Instagram, you didn't bother to warn anybody that your books were filling up really quickly and now you have no room left, that's a little on you. It's mostly on them for not pre-booking their appointment, but it is a little bit on you because some clients just need that little reminder of like, hey, so here's my openings for this week. The way that you should be posting your openings as well is to post in small batches. 1 week at a time is really good because 1 week at a time is more easily digestible for the client to look at. Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. Here are my openings for haircuts. If they see that, they're like, oh girl, I need a haircut right now. I'm going to book for Monday afternoon at 3:00. They're going to message you right away. If they see that you have 2 solid months of openings, number one, super overwhelming. Number two, there's no urgency to book. So why is a client going to message you if they see that you have all day, every day free for 2 months? Number three, that looks terrible to have a completely open schedule. We've all been through it. We all have those times where we're really slow, and we don't want to let people know that because it can create a little bit of discouragement in their minds as, why is my stylist not booking up? She used to be so busy. A lot of stylists don't realize that clients think that way sometimes, and it's not always because like, oh, you're failing in your career or anything. It's oftentimes because of the economy or because it's a slow season. Seasons like April and March and April and October, November are dead slow for a lot of hairstylists because the seasons that you're booking your hair around have just come and gone, and you're waiting for your next appointment to come up for, let's say, summer. Anyways, hair is a cyclical season. And if you are a client who is seeing 2 months of availability with your stylist, you're not going to be thinking, oh, it's a slow season. You're going to be thinking, what's wrong here? She used to be so booked up. Now she has 2 solid months open. It's not a good look. So post 1 week at a time. Another good idea is to, after your availability openings, it's a good idea to post how far in advance you're booking or post how much your current month is booked. So if you're like, here are my openings for this week, let's just say there's 1 or 2 of them, then you can have another post after that saying, hey everybody, just so you know, I am booking 2 to 3 weeks out for all my color services right now. So if you want to book a color service before summer is over, message me now. Or you can also post instead, hey everybody, July is 80% booked. So if you want to get something for July, message me right now because I only have a few openings left. Number 4, work the hours that the senior stylists aren't working. I don't know if this is something that everybody really thinks about, but the hours that the senior stylists are working are typically like the most desired hours because they've built their clientele up to that point. A lot of senior stylists love to work like the mornings and the afternoons of the weekdays and have either their evenings or their weekends or both off. And yeah, obviously you want that too, but you have to earn that. And the way that you earn that is by, over the years, slowly adjusting your clientele to your new schedule once you build a clientele. If you don't have a clientele, you need to be available when the clients are available. And most people are available after 5 p.m. on weekdays, and they're available on weekends. It is just how the way the world works, and it's not fun. I've worked for years doing weekends and evenings, both of those, and I didn't really get any good time off. Like I got Mondays and Wednesdays off in like the morning and afternoon, but I still had to work in the evenings. And when I was a chair renter at first, I worked 7 days a week because I was just hustling to make sure that I had a full clientele. I would come in every single day of the week whenever clients wanted. I made myself as available to them as I could because that was most important to me. I can guarantee you, if you make your availability for the evenings and for the weekends, you will build up 10 times faster than the girl who doesn't make those times her priority. If she has 1 evening and 1 weekend day and she's only working a part-time weekend day and she's a new stylist, she's going to, number one, book up that weekend day so quickly, but all of her weekdays are going to be super, super empty and they're going to be very hard to fill. But if you make 4 days out of the week, those 4 of your 5 days out of the week, those hot button appointments, the appointments that all clients call in and ask for, hi, do you have a color appointment for after 5:30 p.m. when I can get there after my day of work? I just need my roots done. Yeah, you're going to be working from 6 to 8, but that's 6 to 8. That is so easy. And if you take on appointments that are balayage later into the evening, those clients will super, super appreciate it and be more likely to stick with you. And if a client is impressed with your work the first time around, they're more likely to be a little bit more flexible with their schedule to see you again. If a client loves their hair and you're like, hey, that took a little longer than expected. Do you think you can leave work an hour early and come in at 4 instead of at 5 next time? And they love their hair, they're gonna be like, hell yeah, girl, my boss loves me. Of course he's going to. And then you don't have to stay there as late into the night. But you have to be able to open yourself up to getting that clientele in the first place. Number 5, making friends with the receptionists. I think that it was one of my best ideas as a new stylist when I worked at Chatters was to befriend the receptionists, not only because they were fun young girls like me, but also because I noticed that they were constantly overwhelmed on weekends. Even when I wasn't booked up, I would go up to the front and help them check out. I would help clients find new products. I would answer the phone for them and book appointments for myself. And I would do anything I could to lighten the load on the receptionist because oftentimes they have more work than they are being accredited to. A lot of people freak out at receptionists and a lot of hairstylists dump all their crap on receptionists. And I've seen these poor girls working for a minimum wage get the shit end of the stick every single time, every day. I don't know why they got paid so little, but you know, these girls, they were super awesome. And I don't think some of the other hairstylists, some of the older hairstylists realized that these girls had the power of booking them all the Karen cuts and all the kids cuts. So I noticed a pattern of the stylists who were treating them unfairly and yelling at them because their lunch break, you know, wasn't exactly on time. It was 15 minutes too early or 15 minutes too late, or they were given another kids cut and they don't like them, but they can still do them. Those stylists were being consistently given kids cuts and Karen clients and the cuts that they didn't want to do and perms and all the stuff that they didn't like doing. The receptionists knew, and they would book them like that out of spite, and it was great to watch. The reason it was great to watch is because I was nice to them. I would help them out whenever times were busy. I'd answer the phone, book appointments for myself, like I said, and they would just appreciate my help during opening and closing, that they'd be like, hey, there's like this new girl who wants to come in and go fully blonde and she has virgin hair. Do you want that? And I'd be like, oh my God, yes. Yes, please give me that. Absolutely. That's a big ticket item. It's not hard to do. And that's going to be a client who visits me for a long time. They'd also say, hey, there's a new girl who wants her grays covered. And I'd be like, absolutely, yes. Bring me the bread and butter root touch-up clients. I want all of them. Number 6, always, always, always be learning. Education is free. There's no other way that I can say that. For this industry, education is free. I know there's a lot of like sponsored education that's out there and a lot of paid education that's out there. And this is going to be probably where some hairstylists come for me a little bit, but almost any service that you can pay to learn with hair, any kind of like one of those like paid online classes, you can learn yourself by watching the free clips that are on Instagram and YouTube and the free little tips and tricks that they give you. Put that all together like a jigsaw and try it out yourself in the chair. And yeah, you might not have the absolute mastery of it at first when you first try it, but if money is tight for you, just watch all those influencer stylists and all those educating stylists who do their job. And if they don't give you all of the details right away on the service that you want to learn, for maybe let's say they're doing a class on a specific coloring method or a balayage method, just watch a lot of their videos and put it together with your own mind and then go try it out. And if it didn't work out the way you think, try it a different way, and again and again and again. This is how I did it. I learned via trial and error, and I learned so much from my errors. I also rarely paid for a class. If I ever paid for a class, my salon paid for me. And honestly, those classes didn't really teach me much. There is so much education you can also find for free just by Googling and going on YouTube. And every hairdresser is putting out free education, whether they know it or not. If they are an influencer, they've got a TikTok, whatever, they're putting out tips and tricks for you. There are so many TikTok hairstylists that I really love and I follow, and I see them doing the same stuff that I do, and sometimes I see them doing different methods, I still watch, and I've been doing this for 9 years. Like, I still watch the videos and go, you know what? Solidifying in, that is a really good way to do it, or that's a different kind of pattern, and that's how her hair turned out, and I definitely want to try that next time. There's so much that you can learn for free that you do not have to pay for if you're new. If you do want to support an artist and learn their method and learn the mastery, obviously you can do that as well, but this is a good way for anybody who's broke, because I was super broke as a new hairstylist. So I just utilized my own time and my hours by going on Instagram and YouTube, watching Guy Tang, watching so many other stylists. I'd watch a lot of Danny Lobozic. I'd watch Zach Mesquite. I did actually do the paid program for Zach Mesquite, and I learned a ton through there, because guaranteed when you pay for a class, you're going to learn more than you would with the free content that they give you. It's going to be more in depth, and it's going to answer a lot of questions that you have. But if you don't have any money and you do have time, spend the time. All right, number 7, do not limit yourself to a specialty. My specialty found me about 4 years into hair, and I didn't plan on becoming a color correction and blonding specialist. It just happened to me. And the best way I can describe that happening is when I was a chair renter 3 years into my career, I was just taking any and every client who would come sit in my chair. And those clients, it just starts with a couple of girls that see you typically for balayage or blonding or a color correction. For me, this is how it happened. And you do a good job, and they tell all their friends, and then all their friends see you, and they love you, and they refer all their other friends who need the same kind of work. And there's nothing like a blonde who will refer all of her blonde friends, because if you see a good blonde, you're going to be like, girl, where do you get your hair done? Where do you get your blonding done? It is not patchy. It is not yellow. It is beautifully blended. I want hair like that. Where do you get it done? And they're going to be like, oh yeah, it's this girl who works in a hole in the wall in White Rock. And, she only charged me $140 for this. It's great. And then she's like, okay, well, I'm going to come see you too. Honestly, when you limit yourself to a specialty before you had a chance to let your specialty find you, then you're just giving yourself such a small pool of people that you can have access to, especially before you've proven that specialty. That's what I absolutely hate to see when I see new stylists come and work at the salon, and I'm like, all right, so like, what are you interested in? What do you want to learn more about? You want to relax a little bit? That's my dog sneezing, sorry. When I see a new stylist coming in and they're like, oh, I'm going to specialize in lived-in luxury balayage. I'm like, okay, girl, but you're going to do everything before you specialize in one thing. And they're like, well, I don't want to do men's cuts, and I don't want to do, short cuts, and I don't want to do kids cuts. And I'm like, I don't care what you want to do. If you're working for me, you're going to do them all, because I want every stylist to be well-rounded in their skills. I also don't want to see stylists limiting themselves when they don't know anything. And I don't want to see clients being turned away when there are so many openings available just because you don't want to do something. Too bad. You're going to work if you have your work scheduled. Like you have your work hours scheduled. I'm going to fill those hours up. Especially when you limit yourself. Let's just take lived-in luxury balayage as an example. If you limit yourself to just doing that and only 2 types of haircuts, you are limiting yourself to the people who want that. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that when you have a niche style, that only people who want that niche style are going to visit you. And sometimes people who come visit you in the first place, they're going to show you photos of stuff that you don't know how to do and work that you don't know how to do. And if you want to make the money and you just do it and you do it wrong, you're not keeping that client, and you're probably not keeping the money from that client either. Let's be honest. Because if you do lived-in luxury and a client shows up and they want a full bleach out and you don't really do that, but you decide to do it for the first time, you're going to do a bad job because you didn't bother to learn it, because you set yourself with a specialty way too soon into your career. If your specialty finds you and you just suddenly get a whole bunch of clients who want lived-in luxury balayage, and you find that you're really good at it, you can do it in a good amount of time, and you make a good amount of money off of it, awesome, you found your specialty. But don't limit cutting out all of those other clientele just so that you can focus on doing one thing all day, every day, because that one thing is more than likely it's a trend, and that trend is going to die out, and then you're going to fall behind. Number 8 has a lot to do with number 7. It's your bread and butter clients, and they pay the bills. Your root touch-ups, your monthly trims, and your men's cuts. Those are all clients that come in very regularly, and they pay you well, and they typically tend to tip well as well. They don't take a lot of effort and they don't take a lot of time. They fill up those small gaps in your days, and they tend to pre-book their appointments, which fills up your schedule in the long run. These clients are your most important clients. I'm so sorry, balayage babes, but you guys are not the most important clients. You are the most creatively fun clients, guaranteed. Any of those clients that get that fun color work, we love seeing you in the chair because it gives us an opportunity to be creative and artistic, but it's not the client that is going to come visit you when times are tough. The clients that are going to come visit you when times are tough are the clients that need their maintenance done. Low maintenance looks can go another month without maintaining their look. That's why they're low maintenance. So through recession and through COVID, trust me as someone who's run 2 salons through this time and been a stylist myself, I do not turn away men's cuts, monthly trims, and root touch-ups. In fact, I encourage them. I try to take them all for myself because those clients are going to make sure that through October and November and February, March, and April, that I'm still getting my bills paid and still putting food on my table. My balayage clients are going to wait until the busy seasons. They're going to wait until Christmas, before school starts, and after school finishes for the year. That's what they're going to be doing. And those clients are not going to be the ones to pay your bills long term, especially if the trends change. You always want to keep up with the trends and how they're going, and you don't want to fall behind. So again, putting that point in there, always keep your education up. Always be learning new tactics and new tricks and new styles. Do not get set in one style because you will fall into the back of the crowd within the next 5 years if you don't bother with keeping up with your education and you try to just maintain it to one specific style because you want to be lazy and just go do the same factory work that you do all day with the same foiling pattern, the same 2 formulas that you use, and the same look for every single client that you see. Those clients will eventually stop seeing you because they want a change. Now, number 9, this is going to be a little hard for some people to hear. Know your place. It's all about your attitude. You have to know your place in the industry. When you're brand new, you have not earned a reputation for yourself, good or bad. You have not proven to anybody that you're worth keeping at their salon, and you have not proven to any clients yet that you are worth staying with for a lifetime. Your career is oversaturated with all types of stylists. There's a lot of bad ones, and there's a lot of reasons why clients are out there frustrated when they go looking for stylists. And honestly, anything worth having, such as a good reputation for yourself, it comes with a price, and that price is hard work. And oftentimes, the hard work is putting your pride aside and learning how to apologize to a client properly, apologize to a coworker properly, and to learn where your place really is in the salon. Now, something that you should also know is your own value as a human person who deserves dignity and respect. It's one thing to be seen as the new person who is kind of following people around and watching and learning, and they're still earning their way in the salon. It's a whole other thing to have a totem pole or a hierarchy of who's worthless and who's worth something. Because we're all worth something. We're all worth a lot. And every person is deserving of respect and dignity. So if you are not being treated with respect and dignity, like I was in one of my jobs, you have to leave that environment. It's a toxic, nasty environment, and you do not deserve that. But you do need to put in the hard work. You need to work the hours you don't want to work. You need to take on the clients you don't want to take on. You need to give everybody respect and grace and compassion in your chair, rather than getting defensive when something goes wrong or, doing something because you don't want to do it. If you can do it, do it. It can be kind of a difficult one because it's such a broad and vague statement to make, is like knowing your place. But your salon shouldn't form as a hierarchy or as a totem pole where there's one person direct down and all this pressure is on the person on the very bottom here. It should form as a team, and every team member, including the coach, has their responsibilities and the jobs that they have to get done. I don't know sports, but I'm going to use a sports reference here, okay? I know one thing about football. Two things. I know something's called a touchdown. I know something about football, and that there are positions that you have in your team. And this is the only time you're going to hear me say a sports reference, by the way, ever. There is the person who coordinates how the day is going to go and how the plays are going to go. I think that's the cornerback or quarterback. I don't know the pronunciation, whatever. That's the person who calls out all the numbers and the names, and they've created a strategy for the team to attain their goal. That's usually who I consider to be like the receptionist. They are strategizing the day. They are putting out all of the information to everybody, say, this is what your job is, this is what your job is, this is how the day is going to go. You also have the coach, who's like the manager. And when the team isn't working like a team, when the team isn't teaming, then you lose. Everybody loses. But when the team teams, everybody wins. This is the worst. This is the worst thing. I need a better analogy. I need something that's not sports. But you guys know what I'm saying. When you have a position and there's an air of a hierarchy in the salon where there's like a king and a queen and there's like the nobles, and then you're the freaking jester on the bottom, and you're just there to do the bitch work for everybody, and you're there to do all the crap work that no one wants to do, and you're being paid terribly, and you're being disrespected, and you're being told off all day every day. They're swearing at you, they are kicking you when you're down. That's a place to leave. But if you're a new stylist and they're saying, hi, Jessica, would you mind just sweeping up my station for me really quick? I'm running behind today. Jessica, go sweep the station. You have been sitting on your phone the whole day. Just go do it. You know, Jessica also maybe offer to help them blow dry their client because they're busy, you're not. There's a way to be a part of a team member while still being new that isn't degrading or disrespectful to you as a person. One of my old salons that I used to work at did force me to get down on my hands and knees in the middle of the day while clients were in chairs and Windex the bottom of all the chairs while someone's sitting in them. And I said, may I please do this at the end of the day when no clients are in the chairs? I promise I won't forget it. I promise I'll do it. But it just doesn't seem right that I go clean the base of a chair while a client is sitting in it. And they made me go to each chair and get on my hands and knees behind a client's butt, the butt sitting right here, and I'm wiping the base of the chair because I had to do it right here, right now, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Couldn't wait till 6. That kind of thing you need to leave. If they're making you do work like that, that's humiliating and just fun for them to watch, that's when you need to go. You know, salons are a dime a dozen, and a lot of salons that are manipulative and toxic will try to make you believe that they're the only salon that's going to take you. They're the only salon that's going to put up with your stuff, and that you should feel grateful to work there. Those are awful, toxic, evil people who I've worked for in the past, and it's a very manipulative way to keep someone on the lower tier and on the lower rung because they like having power. So you need to know your dignity, you need to know your worth, and you need to be respected and show respect. Number 10, right after the respect thing, I'm labeling this one, take it on the chin. Because this isn't about respect coming to you, this is about you putting out respect. Specifically for like your clients. You're going to mess up. I'm going to mess up. I do mess up. We all mess up, especially in this industry where it's all art and chemicals. And the number one thing that you need to do when you mess up is take the criticism with grace and learn how to apologize properly to a client and use this instance as a learning experience that can be positive to you. Clients are paying hundreds of dollars to get their hair done, and if there's a problem with the outcome, you need to have created an environment that makes them feel more comfortable with telling you that. Because 8 times out of 10, the client that you find that is in the chair and they're upset with how their hair has come out, 8 times out of 10, they're like a regular person. They're a regular client who just wants their hair to look good. And if that's been a miscommunication, or maybe there's a blotchy foil, or maybe something's not done as light or as dark as they want, or the color's just off, you can fix that. And creating an environment that makes them feel comfortable with telling you criticisms is of the utmost importance, because it can be very awkward for clients to come out and say their feelings on something that they know that you're going to feel in your feelings about it, because it is your work and you take pride in it. Being able to take it on the chin and not getting defensive is so, so important, because when you get defensive and you say, well, I take a lot of pride in my work and there's nothing wrong here and you're wrong and you're this, and you put the blame on the client for not liking their hair, 10 out of 10 times that's going to make the situation so much more difficult, and it's going to create a distrust between you and your client. Even if they are like the 1 or 2 out of 10 clients that is just combative and maybe wants a free service just because they think that they can complain and get a free service, deal with it in a professional way. Because if you deal with it in a professional way, number 1, it'll be done 10 times faster. Number 2, if they have anything to say about you, yeah, they're going to say that they didn't like their hair, that like you did a bad job. So what? You know what? Art is subjective. Everybody's going to have a bad day where they've done bad work. But if they can say truthfully that you were disrespectful and rude to them and unprofessional, that's way worse than you having a bad day and doing a couple of bad foils. It's way, way worse. So even if they write a review about your salon and about you, and it's all lies, if you know that it's lies, that's going to sit better with you through the next few nights than if you knew that you got defensive and you got unprofessional and you called them names, or you judged them, or you blame them for their hair turning out the way that it did. If there's any of those things that are in there that are true, they're going to hit a lot harder, and they're going to be a lot harder to work past. So make it easier on yourself that when a client is telling you they're not happy with their hair, ask them if they'd be willing to come in again for you to fix it, and thank them when they do. It's as simple as that. Putting your pride aside can be really hard for a lot of people, especially people in this industry. But when a client who has paid a lot of money for something doesn't get what they want, the best thing that you can do as a professional is not to pretend like the client is wrong, or pretend like they're crazy because, that's not there. I don't know what you're talking about. Or try to gaslight them into something because your pride can't take the hit. Take the hit. It doesn't hurt that bad. You just say, I am so, so sorry about that. That is my mistake. Would you be okay with me fixing that? When are you available? When can I make this better for you? 10 times out of 10, that client is going to be so much happier that it was an easier situation than having to fight back and forth with their stylist, create drama, tell all their friends that this person is terrible at hair and they were unprofessional. It's just a way bigger headache if you get defensive about your clients not liking your work. Even if they were wrong, it sucks. It sucks, but it is part of customer service. And the client is not always right. It's true, but you can tell them that in a very professional way. You can tell them that in a professional way. So that was my 10 tips to building a fuller clientele as a new stylist. I want to hear from you guys. Please tell me which one you found was the most useful. I'll put it as a poll below in my Spotify. And if you're on YouTube, please write in the comments below what you learned from this video, what you disagree with. I'd actually really like to hear that, because those are important things for me to learn. Maybe you've had a different experience with some of these things, and maybe you've learned to not do them. But I really appreciate you guys coming to this channel, listening to my podcast, and watching all my videos. I promise I'll be having some tutorials up soon. I just know that with podcasts, there's a little bit more to talk about in seasons where you're just doing a lot of touch-ups and, standard services that aren't really great for filming because they're not super tutorial-y. If you do want to see a tutorial, please write down in the comments, if you're in the YouTube, what tutorial you'd like to see next, and if there's any of those standard services you'd like to see me film. So if you're listening on Spotify, thank you so much for following me along. Make sure to give this episode a like or a rating if you can. A little goes a long way. I really appreciate you guys for doing that. And on my YouTube, if this is your first time, remember to subscribe and like our video if you did enjoy this and you learned something from it. And then this can go and reach more stylists, more aspiring people in the beauty industry. This may help so many people, hopefully, in building a clientele. So thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Mwah.